Hey everyone, what's up? It's Dura, and today we're going to take a look at the making of my most recent track, The Fire Stopped Burning. Let me turn up my mic, because I tried to record this already, and my mic was way too quiet. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of ripping off SeamlessR, but if you're going to rip off anyone, do it SeamlessR. So first thing we're going to take a look at is the part of the track that I'm most proud of, which is this. Little pluck. Oh, it's clipping. Sorry. I'm really proud of how that turned out. So the main inspiration was mainly from Boy in a Band's Album in a Day challenge. Let me move my microphone a bit closer. Was the Album in a Day challenge by Boy in a Band that he did. I watched like the highlights from the stream, and I believe they were remixing a Mega Man song, and it had like this really cool, nice sounding pluck melody, and I was like, why don't I write something like that? So I thought it sounded really cool. One kind of funny thing before we look at the actual sound is this part right here, this little triplet, I guess. That was completely unintentional. I meant to put the note like right there. But I'm really glad I didn't catch that when I was actually writing it in, because that sounds way cooler. So yeah, see, sometimes mistakes work out for the better. So yeah, we have that. Let's take a look at the sound, which, as you can probably guess, I have the drums open for some reason. We'll look at those later. But the sound, as you can probably guess, was made in Thor, as pretty much everything in Reason is. One oscillator, it's a multi-oscillator at octave 5, detuned at a little bit at random 1. And the plucky sound comes from this filter envelope, which has the decay like this. And it's low passed, so it ends up like this. I find like these filter envelopes and having them look like this and low passes are like really good ways to create those cool plucky sounds, and even some synthwave basses, though I've never really had a successful attempt at writing a synthwave track. I have a little portamento, because everything sounds better with portamento. I put portamento on pretty much everything that isn't a pad, just because I love portamento. I love those sliding notes. And on the amp envelope, we have a little release, because I just think it sounds cool, and some chorus. Take a look at those settings. And then we have a digital delay line, like this. I'm better at explaining like the synthesis design than the effects. Then the RV7000 reverb. Messed around with a remote programmer a bit. Did that. And then the EQ, which really kind of brought out the sound, because without the EQ it sounds kind of dull. Sounds a bit weak. But with the EQ, and the main reason for that is because a low-pass filter, and I'm pretty sure this is preaching to the choir, but if you don't know, it takes out the high frequencies and then the low frequencies pass, therefore low pass. But the thing is, like, a lot of the strength of a sound I've noticed comes from the top end. And when you take out this much top end, it's going to lose a lot of power. So I boosted the top end, but the low pass filter kept the plucky sound. And then I boosted this area, which also kind of gives it some more power. So we have that sound. Again, really proud of both the melody and the sound design. It's not that complex, but I still love it. Now let's take a look at probably the most prevalent aspect of this track, the bass line. Recently I've become kind of obsessed with making kind of acid-like sounds. I don't know why. I just find them really appealing. And I like writing kind of darker dance tracks. And acid bass lines work really well for darker tracks. One thing, if you're going to be making acid sounds like this, at least this is my understanding of an acid track. One thing I would recommend is having shorter notes. Love these 32 note chops. I use those a lot. So always have shorter notes, because I don't know why. I always do, and I'm just giving you the tips that help me. Let's take a look at the actual sound right here. Again, in Thor, a lot more portamento this time around. Probably gives it kind of a, I guess, lethargic. This sounds really, really cool. I love portamento, like I said. Portamento and acid basses are my passion. Not really. Kinda. Anyway, so the sound, as usual, with as standard business with my kind of acid sounds, we have a low pass filter, lots of resonance, frequency being modulated by an LFO at like 2/1 rate, sine wave. No envelope, sustain at full. We have a multi-oscillator at octave 2, I almost said octave 3, and an analog oscillator, because without the analog, and with the analog, I don't know, I just think it sounds better. I always like to layer my multi... If it's a bass sound, and I'm using a multi-oscillator, I pretty much always layer them with an analog oscillator. And we have tube distortion, or tube compression, whatever, tube something, which I like using tube compression a lot, because I think it kind of makes the sound a bit beefier. Like, let's compare them. Like, seriously, it's dumb, but with... See what I mean? Sounds a lot better. And then, just checking to make sure there wasn't anything else. And then, unison, pretty self-explanatory. Equalizer, boosting the highs, brought up this area. Always, a good tip, always try and at least always try and like mess around with an EQ on just fiddle with an EQ on any of your synths, because I can pretty much assure you, as good as your synth is, it'll sound a lot better if you just tweak with an equalizer for pretty much every synth. So I always make sure to put an EQ. Then we have this digital delay line, pretty much the same settings I think as the lead. Reverb, not really using this programmer, it's pretty much the same, just have the default settings like this. So yeah. And this isn't really that interesting sound design-wise, I just thought it, yeah. And then we have another part of the track I really like, which is this little arpeggio. Acid arpeggios are the best, but let's restart it. So, again, wow, Thor. But are you tired of seeing Thor yet? Well, if you're a Reason user, of course you're not, because you probably use Thor all the time. But again, portamento, about the same amount of portamento as the pluck. That's the drums. Yeah, pretty much the exact same, actually. Analog oscillator, again, LFO, modulating frequency, high resonance. And we have the same kind of filter, the same kind of envelope on the filter that we did on the pluck. Because without the envelope, it would sound like this. Really, really boring. But with the envelope, let me restart it so there's not that awkward pause. Really good. And I'm kind of shocked that I didn't bring the sustain up to full, but hand sounds fine. And, you know, analog oscillator. And RPG8, which is giving it the arpeggio tone. And side note, RPG8 is the best pun I've ever heard in a VST. And I love puns. So, restart again. Sorry. Also, I'm sorry that reason only takes up like a little bit of the screen. I'd have it over here, but then it blocks the play button. So you'll have to put up with this awesome Labfox wallpaper. So RPG 8, giving it the notes. EQ, again, giving it some more power. Delay, reverb. And sub bass, you know, just your typical sine wave at a really low octave. You can make that with pretty much any synth, but I like doing them with subtractor. You can really see all this is a subtractor. Yeah. I like doing, I do like to do a triangle wave sometimes, but yeah. So, I hope no one gets annoyed about that really deep bass tone. And also have this right here, which only really plays during the drop. Which this was first three things I worked on were the pluck, the bass, or this saw bass, and the drums. And I'll get to the drums after this, which will be the last thing we look at. So the saw bass is just, it's also subtractor with an LFO saw wave playing on the this right here. And I was originally gonna do like a bit of detuning, but there's no way I can automate purely the level. I can alternate the mix between oscillator 1 and oscillator 2. If I had oscillator 2, it'd sound like this. That's dumb. And of course, a lot of detune. And last thing we're gonna look at is the drums, which I didn't redrum because I don't know. I mean, Kong is like better for like rooting a lot of drums, but as you can probably see, I didn't use a lot of drums, and I like just being able to copy the pattern to the track. And so the beat, your typical 4 to the floor beat, with these hats kind of playing 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, kind of playing that pattern. And if you want to know, the samples are from Vengeance Essential Club Sounds 5. I have this kind of popped up. I have a usual kick, snare. Oh, right, and the crash, which is drowning in reverb pretty much. And I'll look at the EQ settings in a bit, but I really only EQ'd these. No EQing done on the crash. Wow. And don't worry, I'll explain the Maelstrom. But this... Okay, first of all, I'll explain the Maelstrom right now, because you can probably hear, like, when I do that. There's that weird panning thing, and I absolutely love that, especially on hats. It sounds cool. And one really, really cool thing that I love about Maelstrom, I don't use it that much. It's really good for, like, kind of dubstep, but, one cool thing is that you can take an LFO from Maelstrom, or any, like, modulator. You can take a modulation envelope or something, output that into anything with a back on it. So I put that in the pan, and did that. Give it the pan. Whew. That sounds... I'm sorry, I literally get chills from, like, that panning stuff. And the sample, as you can see here, isn't from VEC5. It's from a free 909 like kit, which is really, call me weird all you want, but I love 909. I love the sound of 909 hats. The hats specifically in 909 kits are amazing. I mean, kicks, snares are decent too, but not for like type of clubby music. So yeah. And EQ settings for the drums. Boosted. Doesn't really do much. That one, it just kind of gives a more subtle punch. And this just kind of barely did anything. Yeah. And like I said, the crash is pretty much drowning in reverb. So yeah, that's pretty much everything there is to this track. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you want me to keep doing this, I'll definitely keep doing it. And if you don't want me to, honestly, I'll probably keep doing it anyway, because this is fun. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Dura, and I will see you lovely people later.